All right, let's start with something that might be a little hard to hear, but it's absolutely crucial if you're serious about trading. We've got to cut through all the marketing hype and take a hard look at the actual evidence. 89%. Just let that number sink in for a second. According to European financial regulators, that's the upper end of how many retail trading accounts consistently lose money. This isn't just some statistic, it's the mountain that every single aspiring trader has to climb. Okay, so here's the game plan for this discussion. First, we're going to face that uncomfortable truth head on. Then, we'll dive into the massive gap in the trading education world. After that, we'll see what the professionals really do. And finally, we'll lay out a structured, solid approach to get you on the right path. Right then, Section 1, the uncomfortable truth. This is all about the huge, jarring disconnect between how trading is sold to you and what the reality actually looks like. You see, this disconnect right here, it's probably the single greatest source of financial harm to people trying to get into this field. You're sold this dream of a low-effort, high-reward lifestyle, but the cold, hard data tells a completely different story. And look, this isn't just some opinion from a blog. This is official data from the European Securities and Markets Authority. They actually force brokers to tell you how many of their clients lose money trading things like CFDs. And the answer? Somewhere between 74 and 89%. You'll find similar numbers from regulators all over the world. It's not just regulators either. Just look at what the academic research shows. A huge 15-year study found that after you account for all the fees and costs, less than 1% of day traders manage to make any consistent profit. The conclusion here is pretty stark. Almost everyone who tries this as a casual hobby ends up losing. So you might be wondering, well, if that's true, why does it feel like everyone I see online is winning? That, my friends, is a classic psychological trap called survivorship bias. We see the flashy success stories because they're loud and visible. What we don't see are the thousands upon thousands of people who quietly lose their money and just disappear. It gives us a totally warped sense of the real odds. So that leads us perfectly into our second section. You see, this incredibly high failure rate isn't an accident, it's systemic. And a huge piece of the puzzle is the massive gap in the trading education industry itself. I want you to think about this divide. It's like two different universes. On one side, you've got academic finance, a serious, rigorous field built on decades of Nobel Prize-winning work. And on the other side, you have the retail education industry, which, as our source so brilliantly puts it, has basically industrialized the production of false hope. And you know, this quote from the book's author just hits the nail on the head. The point of a real education isn't to sell you a fantasy. The point is to build a bridge, a solid bridge, between sound academic principles and the actual practical skills you need to be a professional. Which brings us to Section 3, the professional's reality. This is so important to grasp. What a professional trader actually does, day in and day out, bears almost zero resemblance to what you see on social media or in movies. Let's break down why. This table just lays it all out so clearly. Let's look at methodology. Is your process based on scientific research, on having a hypothesis and testing it with evidence? Or is it just trading by feel? What about your framework? Are you pulling together complex data from different sources, or are you just chasing tips you saw on Twitter? And maybe the biggest one of all, time. Are you treating this like any other serious profession that takes years to master? Or are you expecting to get rich by next month? So here's the bottom line. The idea that this immense body of knowledge, this incredibly demanding professional skill set, can be somehow squeezed into a cheap online course you buy for 97 quid, it's not just a bit optimistic. It's utterly absurd. It shows a fundamental lack of respect for how complex this field really is. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? Do you just walk away? No. The answer brings us to Section 4, a structured approach. You don't give up. You approach the field with the seriousness and respect it demands, using a framework that is structured, rigorous, and above all, honest. This is exactly what the framework in our source, The Trading Academic, is designed to be. It's that missing link. It's the bridge that's been needed for so long, the one that finally connects rigorous financial theory with the hands-on, practical skills you need to actually execute in the real world. And his whole approach is built on 5 core principles. It's grounded in real research, no baseless claims. It's practical. You're not just reading theory, you're immediately applying it on a real platform like TradingView. The structure is methodical and consistent, chapter after chapter. And maybe most important of all, it's honest. It's completely transparent about how hard this is and how long it really takes. You can see that methodical approach baked into the DNA of every single chapter. You always know exactly what you're going to be able to do by the end. It tells you what you need to know beforehand, defines the jargon, gives you step-by-step examples, and checks to make sure you're following along. This isn't some vague promise. It's a systematic process for building genuine competence. And just to give you an idea of how comprehensive this is, the curriculum is formally aligned with the UK's National Qualifications Framework. What does that actually mean? It means the intellectual scope of this material is equivalent to a 3-year undergraduate honors degree from a university. That's the level of dedication we're talking about. Now, I need to be really clear about something. The point of showing you all these hard truths and scary numbers is not to put you off. It's the exact opposite. It's to empower you. It's to make sure that if you do decide to walk this path, you start with your feet planted firmly in reality, fully aware of the challenge ahead, and actually equipped with the professional-grade tools you need to face it. So, at the end of the day, it all boils down to this. The markets don't care about your hopes and dreams. They don't reward shortcuts. What they do reward is painstaking preparation, unwavering discipline, and intellectual honesty. The path forward is difficult, for sure, but it is clear. So the only real question left is, are you truly prepared to begin?